Hello, everybody. Welcome to Thursday Thoughts. As you can see, Casey and Jessica here with you today. I guess that way. But we do have a special guest today, Dave LoSavio. So we will introduce him as well. Talking all about personal development today and Dave's story and how we got from point A to point X, Y, and Z on where he wanted to be and the person who he wanted to become and how he did that. So, before we do that, we're all just going to introduce each other, and Dave's going to tell us a little bit about what he does and who he is, and we'll get right into it after that. So, I am Casey Kephart. I am a functional medicine nutritionist. I am the founder of the Feel Good Formula, and I work with women with all different types of autoimmune diseases to get back to the activities that you love to do and trash your symptoms, feel good again, live your life. And I live in St. Petersburg, Florida, where I usually say the sun always shines, but there is torrential downpour out there, hence my wet hair because I got caught in it. And Gustav is stealing the show today. So, Jessica, I will pass it on to you.
Oh, Gustav, he's so sweet. I'm Jessica Melnick. I am a registered holistic nutritionist, the founder of the Anti-Arthritis Method, and the host of the Happy Joints Arthritis Solutions Group. And I help men and women with all forms of arthritis to just get back to living the lives the way that they want to, not the way that they have to. And I'm in Saskatchewan, Canada, where, the sun's been shining lately. Actually, today it's raining. So Casey and I actually have that in common today.
Across the world, we do.
Except where Dave is. Dave's got
sun. Dave, take it away.
Thank you both. I'm super grateful to be here. And my name is Dave LoSavio. I am a realtor, a personal development coach, a LinkedIn live streamer, and I live in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. And what do? I encourage people to live beyond default. And what that means is creating a life of design versus accepting a life of neglect. And most importantly, let's make 8-year-old you and 80-year-old you proud. That's why I do what I do.
I love that. That's a great elevator speech, Dave. So the reason we're having Dave on today is one, because he's a cool ass dude, but two, he is very inspirational and he has taken the steps on what it takes to become your higher self and the person who you want to be. And we felt like this really transitioned into our audience here of women and men with autoimmune disease because we're often stuck in this point of like, I don't know what to do, or I know what to do, and I can't get there. And there's this gap. It's the knowing, doing gap, and we're stuck in it. And so Dave is going to provide some insights and just personal stories on what he's done that might really resonate with you and connect some dots, make you think a little bit. And he might have some really great opinions and insights that will be knowledgeable for you. So if you have questions, please put them in the comments for Dave and we'll be sure to get to them. And if anything is resonating for you or even triggering you a little bit, please put it in the comments. Let's talk about it and have a great conversation. So Dave, tell us this transitional story. So let's start with Dave 1.0. Who were you? What were you doing? Things like that.
Yeah, Dave 1.0. I love that term. I like to call it Windows 98 Dave. And like all of us, we're doing the best that we can with what we have at this time always. And I was doing my best at that time. My best was making multiple six figures, drinking, drugging, partying, being in a great, steady job, and just loving life or thinking I was loving life. When I graduated college, I didn't know what I was going to do, so I decided to get into sales. My degree was interpersonal communications and public speaking from Northern Illinois University. And I really wanted to be a public speaker, which I am. It's funny how that works. So, what happened was about 10 years ago, I started reading books. I recognize that most college graduates, not to say that that's better or worse, most college graduates only read 2 books from the time they graduate till the time they die.
I believe it.
And I thought that was a painful statistic, especially with how easy it is to listen to books or have books on a Kindle or digitally. So I started reading books and started learning a little bit of things, even through my drinking and drugging at that time. And then 7.5 years ago, which was November Thanksgiving weekend of 2014, I had that Wednesday night, I had hooked up with some girl locally around here, which was fun. The next morning, I was going to meet and hang out with another girl that I met in Chicago. So that was fun too. But for some reason, when I woke up that morning, I just had this thought. I'm like, I don't feel real happy. And I don't know why. And I was kind of tired of being hungover. And I said, you know what? I'm going to quit drinking just for a month. I'm going to see what happens and I'll be more present. Probably didn't use that word at the time. I'll be more present to my family and friends through the holidays. I'll remember the holidays come January and I won't be like, oh, what the heck just happened that last month? Um, so I didn't hit rock bottom. Nothing terrible happened to me. In fact, I had gotten a DUI a year before that, and it didn't make me change my ways, whatever that means. And so November, Thanksgiving weekend, 2014, decided to stop drinking for a month, and it's been 7.5 years. So that was the first stage from Windows 98 Dave into the 1.0, 2.0, 3.0s. And it was cool because after a couple of weeks, I was like, kind of feeling better. I'm kind of looking better. I'm getting shit done around the house. This is pretty cool. So January comes and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just keep going with this. And perhaps I notice some other things I'm doing in my life that don't necessarily serve me. And there were a lot of them. So slowly I started releasing these habits that I was doing that weren't serving my path anymore. And that was just very different, right? Like I'm used to living this life and now everything is so different. Well, the next phase and the next step up from that was I recognized how important it is who you surround yourself with. And you are who you surround yourself with. So I made another little choice, and that choice was I am going to build my network equity. Network equity is the account that builds your bank account. It truly is the value that you're bringing to your network and the value of your network, because what you appreciate appreciates. And I started recognizing who I was surrounding myself with and who I wanted to surround myself with. And the first thing I did with people I wanted to surround myself with was, okay, I want to be around her. How do I add value to her life? Not what can I get from her or what can I take from her? How do I add value to her life? Maybe it's going to an event of hers. Maybe it's being part of a charity. Maybe it's sending her a book. Maybe it's just sending her an email saying, hey, I want to learn what you're doing. I can't really give you anything, but I promise you I'll do what you tell me to do and I'll come back and show you what I learned. It's amazing when you say that to successful people, how happy they are to teach you what they're doing. So that was my next step. And it was cool because I recognized that I started hanging out with a lot of different people that I never was. And I started speaking differently. I started acting differently. I started looking differently. And more importantly, a lot of people started self-serving out of my life because they saw the path that I was on. So I didn't necessarily have to break up with anybody that wasn't serving my path because, again,
Mhm.
they're doing the best they can with what they had. So that was my next jump up. From there, things were going well for a while. And then I kind of went into this like victim villain mentality, like, oh, how come I'm not hanging out with cooler people? How come I'm not making more money? How come I don't look better? I kind of felt like I was in a rut.
Mhm.
And we all get that way at times. I still do. And then I looked at myself another morning and said, well, from now on, I'm just going to come from a place of giving, service, adding value, and doing the right thing and doing good just because. Like no other reason. It's all about just waking up, give, add value, add value, add value. And that was my third shift in my life. Again, nothing happened. It just came from within and I just went with it. Right. And then my fourth shift came in 2020. And this was the major next shift in my life that I've been riding on for a while, which is pretty cool. So I have my birthday coming up in March of 2020, and I hear that restaurants and stores and places are going to be shut down. And what I mean by I hear about that, because I don't have news, I don't have television, I don't have news feeds, right? So I'm just hearing from people in my town like there's going to be this shutdown and this lockdown. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm not doing anything for my birthday next weekend. That kind of sucks, right? But that's okay because happiness comes from within. And then I happen to be reading this book, The Alchemist. And The Alchemist is about this boy walking through the desert and he's looking to find his personal legend, his purpose, his North Star. And I'm reading this book and I'm like, this is me. I am this kid walking through the desert trying to find his personal legend, his North Star. I'm like, okay. So as I'm in lockdown, like we all are, I live alone. I'm in Arlington Heights. I'm in my loft, and it's just self reflection, self reflection. So August 7th, 2020, I'm talking with my friend Stephanie, who encourages me to live beyond default before we even coin that phrase. And I was saying to her, how, I think it's time for me to quit my career and do something different. My career of 25 plus years, mind you, that I was making more money than ever because the pandemic boomed the career I was in, the industry I was in. So I said, I'm thinking about quitting around my birthday next year, 2021. She's like, yeah, it's kind of far off. I'm like, yeah. All right, what about January 2021? She's like, you're going to go through the holidays? I'm like, yeah, good idea. It's like, what about November? She goes, no, you need to quit now. In fact, you need to jump out of a plane without a parachute and trust yourself that you're going to sew one up before you go splat. And I was like, huh, I've never heard anyone say that to me before. And I think you may have something. So, hugs and kisses, kisses on the cheeks, right? I left, and that evening I decided that October 30th of 2020, I would be leaving my career of 20 plus years, and I would also be putting in my 2 week notice 2 weeks before that. And wouldn't you know, the last year of my career, I had my two best months, and the last month of my career, I had the best month ever in my career, which means numbers wise, I made just under 28K in 1 month, which for a guy who doesn't have kids and who's single and doesn't have a lot of expenses, 28K in 1 month is pretty good. But I still left, and I left with love and gratitude and just all about opportunity moving into my next phase.
That's awesome. And It's great to see the evolution of a lot of hard decisions that you needed to make for yourself, but also the increase of of awareness that was there. Um, and we're trying always, Jessica and I are always trying to increase the level of awareness in the field of autoimmune. So, what are you doing that's not serving your body and your health, but also yourself as well? And you talk a lot about pattern breaking and basically embracing the suck. Do you have anything more to say about? Let's get into the nitty gritty of this pattern breaking. So, what were some of the things that you were breaking patterns with specifically?
Living a lifestyle that's not very sustainable for many years requires pattern breaks. And I learned about pattern breaking just from walking up to strangers, or as I call them, future friends, and striking up a conversation. Everybody's in their own world. So when I approach a man, a woman, a dog, a senior, a baby, whatever it is, it's all about a pattern break. It could be a smile, it could be eye contact, it could be poking a joke or saying something about a book that they're reading, right? So I applied the term pattern break into my life. What do I do to pattern break these long term habits that I had? So one of them could be around money. I learned to connect with money and treat money like a person and like a friend so that it wants to hang out with me and more want to come hang out with me.
Mm-hmm.
So that means investing it, valuing it, and paying down debt versus spending or getting into more debt.
Mm-hmm.
It could be pattern breaking my brain when I wake up in the morning. Because when I wake up in the morning, the monkey brain starts going and it's pretty messy, right? So, how do I pattern break that? I begin my day and end my day with a practice. My morning practice at this moment consists of 10 minutes of meditation, 10 minutes of Wim Hof breathing exercises. Love Wim Hof. Um, some exercises and stretches for about 10 minutes. Going outside, looking towards the east where the sun rises. So the sunlight hits my naked eyes and resets the circadian rhythm throughout every cell for 16 hours before I'm going to go to bed. And and maybe I'll read a little bit, maybe I'll journal a little bit, but mostly the breathing, the meditation, and the going outside and facing towards the sun. So that's how I pattern break my mind when I wake up in the morning. And then I'm coming from a place of curiosity, from openness, and really to receive abundance, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what abundance is going to show up in my life today. I ask myself these wonder questions. Um, so whether it's the drinking and the drugging kind of just went away. I don't know how. Maybe I was just tired of it. It went away a lot easier than I thought. In the beginning, I was still living a lifestyle like a partier, but that went away too, and that went away too. So really, like I don't have any pattern breaks like that, and I highly, highly understand and honor the fact that it's not like that for everybody when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to quitting drugs and alcohol. If you think you should be doing that, I get
Mm-hmm.
it. It's not like that for everybody. It was for me. I'm just sharing my story.
Yeah.
Maybe it was binge watching TV, right? I just got rid of my TVs. Um, that's easy. Pull the TVs down. Um, Actually, I had a TV break and I bought a new TV and a bunch of other stuff, and it sat there in the box for like 30 days. And I'm like, well, I haven't put this up yet. It must be for a reason. Took it all back. And I haven't had a TV on the wall since. So that was about 6 years ago, 5 years ago. So I just learned, and it could be with food, right? Like if I'm emotionally feeling down and I want to get that spike of dopamine, um, in the car, in line at the Target, wherever I am, instead of going for my phone, which is a hit of dopamine, or going for food, which is a hit of dopamine, I say to myself, I wonder why I'm feeling this way. It's a pattern break. I find a spot in my body where it feels this way. For me, a lot of times it's in the throat. A lot of times it's in people's belly. It could be in their back. And I just breathe into it and I recognize that it'll go away. 90 seconds later, it'll just be up in my head and physically it'll go away. And I'm not throwing sprinkles on a shit show. And that's where what you said, I'm embracing the suck. Like, that's not fun, but
Yeah.
I'm not doing things to have fun. I'm doing things to show up for my friends and my family and my coworkers and my clients. I'm doing my best to be better every day. Not perfect, just progress.
Mhm.
And keeping these pattern breaks going keeps me on a path because I will highly believe, I highly believe in that if we are not moving forward, you cannot stay in the same place. You're actually moving backward because of the way that things are set up. You're going to be pushed back unless you're actively moving forward every single day.
No, definitely. I love that. Jessica, do you have anything to say to that?
Yeah, no, I like that point, Dave, that you made. How you have this morning routine that it sounds like you get into a place of not necessarily like relaxation, but calm, so that you're able to be receptive for like what's coming that day, and starting from a place instead of how a lot of us wake up in the morning and we're like, oh my gosh, we grab our phone, we start looking through our emails and social media, and we're like, I gotta get back to this person, I gotta get back to that person, and so needs this and that, and then we just start our day in this state of overwhelm, and it just starts from there, like, and that feels like, I think, like sprinkles on a shit show, because you're starting your day in this awful frame of mind. So I like that you're starting the day from a calmer place so that you're able to be more receptive to what's going to come, and be able to have a more positive frame of mind going into the day. So that really stands out to me as really positive.
Yeah.
I appreciate you saying that, Jessica. And part of that makes it simple. A simple pattern break on that is put your phone in airplane mode. Now I get it. Some people have dying parents or they have kids. We all have excuses for everything, right? We can always think of a reason not to do something.
Mhm.
Do what works for you. You be you. For me, I take my phone, I put it in airplane mode 8:30 or 9 o'clock at night, and then I'm up for an hour before I even take my phone out of airplane mode. And um, starting my day on my own terms versus being reactive to how others want to start my day. And here's where I'll poke, right? Well, I've got emails. There's no such thing as an urgent email because if it's urgent, they're going to call you. There is no such thing as an urgent email. And the other thing is, we're not that important. We're not that important in life. It's all good. Put your phone down, right? Nobody needs you that bad. We're all big people here. We all can take care of ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Again, I get it. Kids, dying parents. There's always excruciating circumstances, right? I like to talk in the 80th percentile, the meat of the bell curve. And if you see that you're being reactive to everybody else, um, it's okay. You're just gonna be reactive to everybody else all day. And if that's the way you choose to live, which is the way that I chose to live for many years, I just recognized after a while that it wasn't serving me or others.
Mhm.
So turning that phone, putting that phone in airplane mode. Oh, and another thing is not having notifications on the phone. Every email that pops up, there's this like red dot in the notification. Again, emails are not urgent. They're
Yeah.
just not, and we're not that important. I always stress that. Like, we're such a small thing in what's going on in the world, even though a small thing that we do could make a difference. Um, it's okay. Life goes on. You'll be fine. And I
Yeah.
say that to myself, right? I'm not telling people what to do. I'm saying that to myself.
Yeah. So roping this back into our audience here and having an autoimmune disease, imagine you, or let's say imagine Dave waking up in a state every day of um, hecticness, checking his phone, not having that breathing exercise, not being calm, he's more susceptible to bad choices, right? Because he feels so riled up. Maybe he had a lack of sleep. Maybe he had a weird email in the morning. He's more susceptible to eating more poorly. We'll get into Dave's diet soon. He's more susceptible to maybe have a drink, God forbid, knock on wood everywhere, right? More susceptible to all of these bad choices. So now imagine you, a person with autoimmune disease. Look at your morning routine. Look at how you wake up and look at how you're feeling each day. Do you feel chaotic? Do you feel like you're having shallow breathing? Do you feel like you have to be here and here and here and here? That affects how you eat, that affects your choices, that affects your gut with the stress levels, which, as we know by now, it causes a leaky gut. And we're not setting ourselves up for success. So, implementing a routine, whether it's like Dave's, similar, or totally opposite, something that works best for you to set your morning up to make healthy choices is probably going to move you in the right direction to healing your autoimmune disease. It won't just first make you choose healthy choices, but it's also going to calm your nervous system, calm your immune system, which calms your gut, which is the root cause to why you have an autoimmune disease. So if you take home anything today, just take a glance at how you're waking up in the morning and see how that affects you all day long.
It's a good
Absolutely.
point you brought up too. I like the idea of remembering that we get decision fatigue very easily.
Mm-hmm.
And as the day goes on, we've made so many decisions that as we get towards the evening, we're not making good decisions anymore. It's super easy to go to um, the default mode, right? And
Yep.
just reacting and doing what's easy and instant gratification besides delayed gratification. If you're starting off your day not as your day, but as other people's days, and making decisions about those things, whatever they even are, you're just setting yourself off on the wrong path. And really, it all begins with the night before. It begins with the evening practice. What are you doing a half hour before you go to bed? Are you staying hydrated? Are you dimming the lights? Here's a super cool hack. Instead of having lights on in the ceiling in your house, like the sun is at noon, turn those lights off and put lights on that are lamps instead, that are more on the horizon, because we are wired for circadian rhythm. Actually, we're wired for everything that we did until about 200 years ago. That's the way our bodies are wired through evolution. So think about it that way. And then being on your computer or being on your phone a half hour before you go to bed, um, it's okay. It's proven that it is a disservice to your sleep, which is then a disservice to your next day. So what are we even doing on social media before we go to bed?
Yeah.
Probably not anything that's resourceful, is going to be my guess.
Yeah, for sure. It's so stimulating, I think, hard to shut the brain down, if we're using those devices, and even like the blue light as well that we're exposed to from our computers, our devices, our TV, all that stuff is really stimulating. So I have a question for you too, Dave, kind of relating back to our audience, with arthritis and autoimmune conditions. We talk so much, and a huge part of what Casey and I do is we help people with their nutrition, because we're nutritionists, with a holistic approach. But food is such a huge part of it. And one of the things we often run into is we have a lot of our community, a lot of our clients, sometimes can have struggles giving up some of the foods that they really enjoy eating that are just not serving their bodies and that are, creating more health issues for them. So I'm just curious as what your perspective is on giving up those foods and, having like a more positive perspective on it. And in terms of kind of how you talk about pattern breaking, and if you had any ideas on like how you would go about doing that or what's worked for you.
Sure. And that's a good question too, Jessica, because food is a huge part of living a sustainable, abundant lifestyle, as I like to say. And I think a lot of what comes down with food is, in my opinion, it's seeing what doesn't work for you, or feeling what doesn't work for you. We tend to eat and drink, again, the same things that we're used to doing, and we don't even realize what it's doing to us until we start not eating those things. And what I mean by not eating those things is, taking away stuff in our lives. So, what have I done to pattern break, or to, eat certain things or not eat certain things? Um, One time, actually, no, more than once, I've done what's called a paleo reset. And, I'm not saying any diet is better than the other. I am not dogmatic in any way. But what I am is I try things and I listen to what my body feels like. I listen to when I eat something, am I peeing funny? Am I going washroom funny? Am I farting halte, right? Like, does my mouth have a funny taste? Does my face feel puffy 10 minutes after I eat something? Like, simple signs that your body is telling you. But a lot of times we don't know this until we take those away. So, what I did in a paleo reset is they give me just these baseline foods for 30 days that they say we are less reactive to. And then after 30 days, you introduce one in a next level food of what you possibly could be more reactive to. And if you feel okay, you keep it in your diet. If you don't feel okay, you take it out for a couple days, and then you try one more thing new, and you slowly start incorporating things back in.
Mhm.
Um, I loved how I felt after that. Another thing I do regularly, and again, I'm not a doctor, right? Is I fast. So tomorrow I'm going on another fast. 2 weeks ago, I did a 48-hour fast. 2 weeks before that, I did a 48-hour fast. I do them on these half moons. That's a whole nother topic. And then a month and a half ago, I did a 97-hour fast. And these are all water only fasts, right? There's no calories, there's no caffeine. Um, and it's funny because after a day or two, you actually, your body starts to really get in a higher state of consciousness, mentally and physically and
Mhm.
emotionally. And, not only does it reset your body, I think it's good for your hormones. I think that when your body is not in a state of digestion on a regular basis, what happens is when there's gaps in that digestion, that it fights off the cancers in your body, because we all have cancers in our body.
The
Again,
dead cells.
I'm not a doctor,
Hmm.
sharing what I've learned and what I apply, because I like to say something. If I tell you about something that I read in a book or a magazine or I read online and I'm not doing it, you call me an effing liar. I'm doing the things that I'm sharing and saying what's worked for me. And I always encourage the audience, whether they're male or female, try something and see what works for you. So fasting works well for me. Intermittent fasting works well for me. Going on resets, a paleo diet seems to work well for me. I work well when I'm not eating grains, minimal dairy, and, bulletproof coffee. I like to have like a ghee and MCT oil mixed with my coffee in the morning. That seems to work well with my body. Drinking anywhere from a half gallon to a gallon of water every day. That seems to work for my body. You know what seems to work for my body is liver. When I eat liver, grass-fed liver from a local farm, I seem to feel really good, not
Yep.
only afterwards, but later on and then the next day. So it's funny how, like, you start to see these foods, and then, like you said, Jessica, when I wanna go for something, I'm human like anybody else. I'm still having pizza, but I can tell you, I'm gonna be having a good wood-fired pizza with a San Marzano tomato from a local Italian restaurant. I'm not eating a frozen pizza. Or I'll have a cinnamon roll from Whisk Bakery. because they're making it right there, and it maybe has 5 or 10 ingredients in it versus picking up something at the Jewel that's got 30 ingredients in it. So I'm even selective, like if you want to call it cheating, I don't like to call it that. So I'm even selective when I'm doing that because I think I could still enjoy some of these things in moderation. And if I'm going to enjoy it, I want to enjoy it with a better quality. So I hope that answers uh, some of the question without me knowing that much about the autoimmune.
Yeah. No, that's great. I love that perspective on, being choosy about like first of all, paying attention to how food makes your body feel. And then second, if you are going to have something that doesn't really agree with you, you're going to like pick a good quality, you're going to make the most of it. I like that idea a lot for sure.
Mhm.
Do you guys see questions from my feed?
Yes, I can see some people here just commenting. Elena was asking what the best diet for arthritis is. We're not really talking specifically about diet today, Elena. So please, for sure, send me a message. You can send me a message on my business page or through LinkedIn. It's just Jessica Melnick Nutritional Consulting on Facebook or Jessica Melnick on LinkedIn. And I'd be happy to send you a video that's really specific to that. Can you guys see the comments as well?
Yes.
Yeah, I can see him. Marcello's in there from Atlanta, Georgia. He's asking if it's going to be a regular show day and time. No, I'm just a guest today. I see Stephanie's on there too, which is super cool. Thank you. And Elena again. Yeah, Elena's cool. So thank you all for being here.
So, Dave, yes, thank you all for being here and commenting. We appreciate it. So you've had help along the way with this growth journey of yours, right? So you've seeked out some help. So tell us about that and what was that experience for you, and how did it increase your awareness to be the person that you are today? What was investing like?
I love that question. I am super coachable when the right people are coaching me and they're coming from a good place. So I joined a mastermind group called Epic Impact out of San Francisco, California, and I was part of their group for 2 years. Ben and Jake and Zach and Biggs and Justin, um, they brought out who Dave truly was, and it was a commitment. It was a lifestyle. Um, it at the time was, which I'm sure it's more now, and they've rebranded, but at the time it was $1,500 a month as an investment. And then when I would go on trips and I would pay for those. So at the end of the year, it cost me it. I invested about 25K in myself times 2 years, and it revolutionized who I was, who I am, and who I will be every single day when I wake up. Um, it's I encourage people wherever they're dissatisfied or diseased in their life to get coaching and to get leadership, because we all think that there's a DIY for everything now, and for some things there are. But I didn't go to school or didn't study all these things that they were teaching me. I don't know about other areas. That's why I go to these other areas to learn. So I always encourage people that at least 10% of your income, people, you talk about tithing in religion, tithe yourself. We're spending all this money on all these other things to make us feel better versus investing money in ourselves, which is
Mhm.
our mind, our body, our soul, and I think our health. And that may mean for some people private Pilates or going into a private gym, or maybe it's just a gym for 20 bucks a month. For some people it could be with their diet and what they're eating and what they're not eating, and getting into a program that's going to serve them, and really that's going to revolutionize and change their life for the better, to be a better parent or a wife or a husband, to be a better entrepreneur, to be a
Mhm.
better client, or to be a better salesperson.
Yeah.
So I highly, highly believe in investing money in yourself wherever you want to get better, or wherever you feel dissatisfied or diseased, because we're all making decisions from two places. We're either running to pleasure or running away from pain. It's only those two. That's what motivates us, right?
Yep.
And it's pick a lane, and I think it's important to be a part of that, because just watching, watching videos of what you do or what I do that are just free, they're great, and they keep you along, and they give us all some accountability. At the same time, working one-on-one in a program that's specifically designed for people, like I went through Epic Impact, like you have for your clients, in my mind, is what really transforms you and takes you to the next level. And that's how I want to live.
Yeah. What were you resistant of when you first looked at the price or thought about coaching or investing money in yourself? What were some resistance coming up for you? What were you saying to yourself?
I had debt. How can I spend money when I'm in debt? Um, Maybe I'm not worth it, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
not being worth it. Um, just to invest that money in myself. Maybe fear of success, which is when the resistance comes up, there's usually a big up level through that door when you get through the resistance.
Mm-hmm.
The War of Art. Stephanie, thanks for having me read that book. Um, Talks about resistance a lot. So usually when we're resisting something, it's because we're not willing, or we're afraid to take that next step. Like, and we're creatures of habit, right? Like, we don't like change. Again, evolution. Even if something is not serving us, right? Why do we stay, we, right? Not women or men, we, why do we stay in verbally abusive relationships, physically abusive relationships, jobs that are beating us down? The list goes on. Why? Because it's what we're used to, and we're in our comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so when I was faced with the opportunity to invest $1,500 a month in myself, it made me face, oh, look at all these other things I spent money on all these years. And boy, I'm afraid of what's going to happen next. What's going to happen with Dave, right? Dave's becoming more and more epic. I can't imagine what he's going to be like again. I was kind of scared of myself.
I
Um,
like that.
I am a big proponent of invest. People do things for a reason, and they're experts at things. We are not experts in things. I don't know how to put up drywall. I don't know how to install a sink. Um, I don't know how to do a lot of things, and I don't want to. I don't want to know, right? I want to pay someone and invest in someone so I can leverage my time in sharing my gifts with the world, and give those people the resources that I have so they can share with me to become a better person. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Definitely. And I think Craig in the comments sums it up perfectly. And he said, "You are definitely epic.
Yeah.
You are an epic man."
I'm just doing the best I can, right? And I'm really a mess on a regular basis. And I say that kindly, right? Because that's like a bad language pattern to use. Like, oh, I'm a mess. Oh, I'm a mess. It's like, it's okay. Like, I feel down on days. I'm not all, people are like, oh, you're so positive. I'm like, it takes a lot to get to where I am. And it's super easy to be negative and to scan for what's wrong. Again, that's an evolutionary product for us to live in a civilization and to procreate, and it brought us to where we are today. But it's not going to move us forward. And you probably have a lot to say with respect to what people are eating. Most of your audience is women, right? So not only what they're eating, but um, I mean, you could get into so many other things about the societal patriarchy and all these other things and what's keeping us back. And at the end of the day, yes, there's are things going on in this world that are holding us back. And at the end of the day, I like to say another thing. I am not a victim, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to point and say I look, feel, act, make money, and do this because of the president, the weather, the economy, the gas prices, and the war in the Ukraine. I take responsibility for what I do every single day, even when I feel like shit. I take responsibility for it and recognize it's okay, doing the best that I can, and I'm going to get help and I'm going to get guidance and I'm going to get leadership from those who know what they're doing where I'm struggling. And that's part of what brought me to where I am today. And that's why people hire me either to speak or be their personal development coach or to buy and sell a home because they know that I'm going to bring personal development into real estate, right? This isn't a plug for real estate. It's just a plug of whatever you do in life. You're bringing your best. That's all it is.
Yeah. I think we can like mic drop it there, or pen drop. But before we get into Dave, like where people can find you and connect with you, what would you tell our audience, women and men with autoimmune disease, who are struggling changing their eating habits and they know they need to change? What would you say to them to make it easier?
Try one thing. Just change one thing. Of all the 30 things that I was doing that wasn't serving me, um, pick one thing in the food arena that you think may not be good for you and wean yourself off it or just cut it out completely. Just one thing and try it for a week and see how you feel. Um, I call that slide edge habits. They're easy to do and they're easy not to do. That's the gift in it.
Yeah.
Um, so my leadership or suggestion would be um, just take a look and reflect at it's pretty easy to see what we're eating. And it's pretty easy to see what's not serving us. I mean, information is free. Even though there might be too much of it, information is free, right? So see something that you eat or drink on a regular basis. I mean, it could be something like sweetened drinks or, well, I drink sugar free with Splenda. I mean, Splenda's manufactured, right? You're putting a chemical in your body. I don't mean you, I just mean us, right? As a collective. So, um, maybe it's cutting out one thing and then a week later starting to track your water and how much water you're drinking, right? Super like little tiny habit, but it works. And I say start small. My small slide edge habit was decided to stop drinking for a month, and that was just my jam. And from there on, it's unstoppable. And that was my thing, right? If you
Yeah.
have an autoimmune disease or something that's from food and what we're ingesting, the nice thing is at least it's narrowed down to that. Um, and then just take that one little thing that you think might make a difference and just release it. And when I say release it with love. Thank you. You are no longer serving me. And I've always appreciated you. And now I'm just going to let you go. And you just let go of it, right? Sounds cheesy, but it works.
I like that a lot. Plug for if you haven't read the Slight Edge book, read it. It is so empowering and inspirational. Listen to the audio of it. I think, Dave, you turned me on to that book years ago. I found the audio just a couple of weeks ago, which is, I chuckled to myself a little bit and thought of you. Dave, tell people where they can connect with you, find you, see your live stream of personal growth and all that Dave is.
Thank you. So my main social media jam is LinkedIn, and that's because Gary Vee said to me years ago, just pick a social media platform that you're aligned with and go all in. It doesn't matter where this, that, or what people have done. Just find your lane and pick it. So I studied LinkedIn for about 30 hours. I obsessed over it and I started figuring out the algorithms and where it goes. And I learned so much from the people I connect with on there, even though a lot of them aren't local and they're not going to buy or sell a home with me, right? So my main jam is on LinkedIn, Dave LoSavio. I'm also part of. I have a weekly live stream every Thursday morning at 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Um, and I also have a YouTube channel. If you just look up Dave LoSavio. And I'm also now growing my TikTok because I think that TikTok is growing in areas, not with young people anymore. It's growing with the 37 to 55-year-old. Young people were on it 5 years ago. So they've already been there and done that, right? But what's cool about it is I like because I can repurpose things from TikTok onto LinkedIn and it seems to work well. So LinkedIn's really my jam. And you can always DM me or email me through there. And I'd love to chat with you because I'm all about nerding out on this stuff. It's really just become a lifestyle for me. And like I said before, there's never any judgment. We're all doing the best we can with what we have. And I'm just here to add value.
I love it, Dave.
Well, thank you so much, Dave. This is great. Thank you so much for coming on with us today.
Yeah, and thank you all for hosting me and being a part of what you do. It's I like to say that the reset button happened in 2020. Um, People died, people went through a lot of pain. Some people thrived. I was one of those that thrived without, again, throwing sprinkles on a shit show. So for me, I decided when 2020 came along, not only to release my old job, but what do I want the next 10 years to look like in my life? And I challenge your audience the same. How do you want to show up for your kids? How do you want to show up for your spouse? Whether it be male or female, right? Maybe you're the breadwinner of the house and you're the entrepreneur and your husband or your wife is a stay at home. um, how do you want to show up the next 10 years? And do you want to thrive or do you just want to survive? Do you want to react or do you want to be proactive to what's going on? Do we want to focus on scarcity or do we want to focus on abundance and co-creation? Make the 8-year-old and the 80-year-old you proud of the decisions you've made, and you can and will make a difference this next 10 years.
Thank you, Dave, so much. Hope to have you back on. We love you. Thank you, everybody, for showing up and commenting. Like, share this video, DM myself or Jessica or Dave if you want to know more. We will be back next week, everybody. Talk to you later.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.